Good freaking morning, everybody, and welcome to today's petite little video, a part of the series Organic Chemistry for Biohackers. Today's video is all about the functions of stomach acid, how your stomach cells actually make stomach acid, and all about H. pylori, so that bad bacteria that lives in your stomach and causes stomach ulcers. Also, today's biohack, this petite little thing on my arm, this is V3 Energy Plus Energy Support Supplement. It is literally a slow release form of vitamin B6 and vitamin B12, and it is also formulated with Guarana extract, green tea extract, and ginseng. And because it is a slow release patch, your body is much more better able to absorb the nutrients formulated in this patch. And now into the video. Part 1, functions of stomach acid. Stomach acid is hydrochloric acid. And recall from the video on acids, bases, and salts chemistry that hydrochloric acid is a strong acid. It fully dissociates into chlorine ions and protons. This is what acidifies your stomach and aids in protein digestion, and it also kills any bad pathogenic bacteria that may be existing on your food. How hydrochloric acid aids in stomach digestion? Proteins are very sensitive to changes in pH. If pH becomes too acidic or too basic, you can denature or begin to unfold proteins. So when you're eating proteins in your food, that protein is coming into your body in its folded higher order structure conformation. When you expose that protein to stomach acid, to the high proton concentration, those protons are protonating certain amino acids in the protein, and the acidic environment is unfolding and denaturing that protein. What that does, it literally gets the protein from this higher order structure into its unfolded polypeptide chain, and now this enzyme pepsin can start to cleave or chew, digest all the peptide bonds, keeping that peptide together. So what hydrochloric acid is doing is it is unfolding, denaturing the protein, and exposing all the peptide bonds for the enzyme pepsin to begin digesting the protein. The other function of stomach acid, and this is something we went over in the video on acid and base chemistry as relevant to food processing, food safety, E. coli, and Clostridium botulinum toxin, is that acids will kill bad bacteria. So the high acid environment is making it very difficult for any bad pathogenic bacteria that you might be exposed to in your food to survive and actually infect you. Part 2, what even are your stomach cells? So there are 3 main cell types in your stomach. Parietal cells secrete hydrochloric acid. Chief cells make and secrete the enzyme pepsin. This is your protein digesting enzyme in your stomach. And goblet cells secrete mucus. This mucus layer is so ridiculously important to cellular health and keeping your stomach lining actually intact. It protects these cells from being degraded by hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is absolutely necessary to protein digestion and ensuring no bad pathogenic bacteria actually making it alive into your digestive tract. But because it is a strong acid, it can also cause severe damage to these cells lining your stomach. So what your body does is it uses goblet cells to create this nice, rich mucus layer that has a few buffers in it and a ton of polysaccharides, and that is creating like a safety zone, defending your epithelial cells from the acid in your stomach. If anything goes wrong to this mucus layer, if your goblet cells stop secreting mucus, or if bad bacteria like H. pylori are able to attack your goblet cells or chew through the mucus, your stomach cells are at huge risk to cellular damage, cellular death, mutation, and this also increases your risk of stomach ulcers and stomach cancer. So that's getting us into part 3. What the frick even is H. pylori? H. pylori is a bacterial species, and for some people it is already living inside of your stomach, but neither bad nor good, it's just kind of neutral. We call it commensal. Under certain conditions, H. pylori may begin to flare up and start behaving badly. And when it is behaving badly, it will start to chew through your stomach mucosal layer, and it will begin to attack your stomach epithelial cells. When it is attacking your stomach cells, it is secreting inflammatory cytokines and exotoxins, and these are causing huge amounts of cellular damage, and it's degrading your stomach lining, causing things like ulcers. That's a high-level overview. Let's go into the actual mechanism of action of H. pylori. First thing, how does H. pylori, this bad bacteria, actually survive in your stomach? Urea exists in your stomach. H. pylori secretes the enzyme urease. What urease does is it reacts urea with water to make ammonia and carbon dioxide. Recall from the video in acid and base chemistry that ammonia can function as a base. When H. pylori is using its urease enzyme to turn urea into ammonia, this ammonia base is neutralizing the acidic environment of your stomach. Once that acidic environment is becoming more and more neutral, it's much easier for H. pylori to survive in your stomach and start accessing that mucus layer. Now H. pylori is making it through that acid layer and it's chewing through your stomach mucus and it's arriving at your stomach epithelial cells. Once it is at your stomach epithelial cells, well, first of all, it's chewed through the mucus layer. Now all this hydrochloric acid, the strong acid, is now exposed to your epithelial cells. So right away, the acid is damaging your epithelial cells, causing huge amounts of cellular damage, inflammation, and triggering cellular death. What H. pylori bacteria is doing, it is secreting exotoxins. So VacA and CagA. CagA is pro-inflammatory, so it's causing a huge amount of inflammation at these cells, and it is attracting neutrophils, so white blood cells, from your blood, and that is causing cell death and just chewing up all the dead, damaged cells. What VacA is doing is it is causing the tight junctions between your stomach cells to loosen up. So it's damaging these cell junctions, and all this stomach acid can be leaking through and further damaging stomach cells. All this inflammation, all this damage by hydrochloric acid is severely damaging your stomach cells, and it is leading to things like stomach ulcer. The more you damage these cells and the more cell death that occurs, these cells have to be replaced. This is what's increasing your risk of stomach cancer, because every single time that these cells have to go through another round of cell division, you are just doing another process that carries the risk of DNA mutation. So every round of cell division, there is some risk of DNA mutation just by nature, doing these cell replications over and over and over and over and over again, because we keep on needing to replace these acid damaged cells. That is just increasing by probability your risk of mutation and cancer. That is the H. pylori mechanism of action, neutralizing the acid layer, chewing through your stomach mucus. Now your stomach cells are all exposed to acid, and H. pylori is producing all these inflammatory cytokine bad molecules, directly damaging your stomach cells, leading to things like ulcer and extreme cellular damage. Now, let's get into how your body actually makes stomach acid. Here's my little trick for remembering that parietal cells make acid. I like to think of parietal cells as party cells, and they're all partying on acid. So parietal cells, the party cell, it makes acid. I hope you guys appreciate that as much as I do.
Also, by the way, if you get any sort of value out of this video, it would help me so much if you guys liked, commented, and subscribed. It can help me invest more resources, time, and energy into this channel, and I can produce more educational content like such.
Stomach acid. How the frick do your parietal cells actually make stomach acid? Let's do a petite little high level overview. Here is your parietal cell. Here is your stomach lumen. So this is where we are secreting the hydrochloric acid, and here is your blood. Inside your parietal cells, you have very active mitochondria. These mitochondria are doing a lot of aerobic respiration. They are using oxygen to oxidize glucose and fatty acids in order to make ATP. As a byproduct of aerobic respiration, you make carbon dioxide gas, CO2. Why is your mitochondria in your stomach so active? Well, it is because you need to use ATP to pump protons into the stomach lumen. Because we need such a high concentration of protons in your stomach, recall that high concentration of protons means strong acid, low pH. Because we keep shoving so many protons in here, we need to use a lot of ATP to shove those protons in there. So your stomach cells have very active mitochondria, they're making a lot of ATP, and they are pumping all these protons into your stomach to acidify the stomach. Parietal cells have the enzyme Carbonic Anhydrase. What Carbonic Anhydrase does is it catalyzes the reaction of carbon dioxide plus water into carbonic acid. Recall that this CO2 molecule, this carbon dioxide, is present in your stomach because the active mitochondria are making so much ATP, doing so much fuel oxidation, and as a byproduct of aerobic respiration, you make carbon dioxide gas. What your very intelligent parietal cells do, they're using carbonic anhydrase to get this carbon dioxide, combine it with H2O, and make carbonic acid. Carbonic acid inside your parietal cells now will spontaneously dissociate into an acidic proton and bicarb ion. Right now we have a proton and we are using ATP to pump the proton into your stomach lumen, but we still haven't actually made stomach acid because we don't have the HCl part. What happens now? This bicarb ion travels out of the parietal cell and into your blood through a chlorine bicarb exchange transporter. So when this bicarb exits your parietal cell and enters the blood, it is exchanged for a chlorine ion coming into your stomach. So this is an exchange transporter because bicarb goes out, chlorine comes in. Now we have a negatively charged chlorine ion inside of the parietal cell, and we have a huge amount of protons, H positive, inside the stomach lumen. Because there is so much positive charge here, and because chlorine is negative, the positive attracts the negative. So chlorine literally goes whoosh out through this channel and into your stomach lumen. So the high concentration of positive charge attracted the negative chlorine. Now inside your stomach lumen, you have H, you have Cl, which represents HCl, which is hydrochloric acid, and you have literally just made stomach acid. Here's an interesting question. After you eat a meal, what do you think happens to blood pH? Should blood pH increase or decrease? Is blood becoming more acidic or more basic? Let's figure this out. If eating stimulates secretion of stomach acid, and that stomach acid means protons going into the stomach, chlorine going into the stomach, and that chlorine came from the exchange of bicarb ion for chlorine, that means that this bicarb ion is going into your blood. Bicarb ion is basic. So if eating a meal means increased stomach acid secretion, and to actually increase that stomach acid, we have to put a bicarb ion into the blood in exchange for that Cl to make HCl, well then we're putting more base into our blood as we're putting more acid into our stomach. So after you eat a meal, blood pH will slightly increase. Blood pH becomes slightly more basic. Now, this is something I'm saving for the blood buffer system, but inside your blood also exists the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, and we have this exact same situation going on. Carbonic anhydrase in your blood is buffering against any huge changes in blood pH to maintain balance and homeostasis. That concludes today's petite little video all about stomach acid, parietal cells, goblet cells, and H.Pylori, and a little bit about protein digestion. If you guys got any value out of this video, please like, comment, subscribe, because it helps me invest more time, energy, and resources into these videos. And I just freaking love making these videos because this stuff to me is so freaking cool and so exciting, and I really want to just keep on doing this and making good educational content for you guys all. So have such a lovely freaking day, and see you in the next video when we talk about the blood buffer system and we return to the story of carbonic anhydrase. See you later, everybody. Mwah.